And Mother Teresa, a giant saint, a huge inspiration. Again, she absolutely changed my life. She loved the Eucharist. She also suffered well with joy because it was all in love, and she was led and she was obedient and she was a faithful daughter to the church to the end. Hey, I'm Father Mark Mary with the Franciscan Friars of the Renewal, and this is Ascension Presents. I'm going to highlight 3 of my favorite quotes of St. Mother Teresa and break those down a little bit. Here's Come Be My Light. You can't really see it probably. Here is number 1. I mean, this is top 3 loosely. Hard to do just the top 3. Here it is. The attraction for the Blessed Sacrament at times was so great, I longed for Holy Communion. Night after night, the sleep would disappear, only to spend those hours in longing for his coming. I love this because St. Teresa is a hero and she is a giant among men and women, even though she was tiny. And she's known so much for her works, and she's known particularly for her work with the poor. Mother Teresa was a woman of prayer. Mother Teresa was a deeply Catholic woman, and her greatest love, that which animated her, was her love of the Most Holy Eucharist. Why? Because the love which animated her was Jesus. You can't make this up, and we see her and we know her, and she's such a credible source. And she loved Jesus in the Eucharist so much, like she couldn't sleep. You know, later, of course, she would have her times of darkness, but there was a period where she just couldn't sleep with longing, with love, and expectation and desire to be united with her spouse, with Jesus in the Most Holy Eucharist. It's such a testimony and testament, particularly to the reality of the Eucharist, and also just to the reality of like what is capable for us in regards of love and Jesus. Sometimes we can kind of have a sense that like there's like our relationship with Jesus is kind of a works of service thing, where it's just like I'll do things for Jesus and hope that he takes care of things in my life. But there's this like spousal dimension open to all souls, like just that the love of Jesus is so real and so profound and so overflowing. And the place of love par excellence is the Most Holy Eucharist. And Mother Teresa, the Great, was just animated by this. Like her power, her potency came from her love of Jesus in the Eucharist. So that's the first thing. That's my first favorite quote of St. Mother Teresa. Number 2 is this, and as I kind of reveal these quotes, you'll get a little insight into me and how I operate as well. This is what Mother Teresa is writing in a letter. Sister Gabriella is here. Shout out Sister Gabriella. Here's what she says. Mother Teresa: she works beautifully for Jesus. The most important is that she knows how to suffer and at the same time how to laugh. That is the most important. She suffers and she laughs. It's just, maybe it's hard. I don't know. This just hits home for me because this is just so real and again so aspirational, and it just makes sense to me. Like we are called to share the cross, and the cross is all around us, and there's all sorts of sufferings all around us. But she suffers and she laughs. She receives what God gives. But she laughs. She's filled with joy. She's filled with hope. Like she knows that the crosses that she carries are not barren crosses, but they're life-giving crosses, and they're salvific and efficacious for her own sanctification, her own salvation, and for the whole world. This is kind of what we're looking for disciples. This is what we're looking for priests, for religious, for men and women in our vocation, men and women who are not in our vocation and carry that cross. Is there's this suffering but laughing, this carrying of the cross and receiving of the cross, but also in relationship with like supernatural hope and joy. I want to be totally given, and I want to suffer well for love, but also like it's for love and in love, and where there's love, there's joy and there's laughter. So I think this is it. We want to carry a cross, we want to suffer well, and we want to have joy. We want to have laughter. So like, let's be that person. Let's love Jesus. Let's be known for our sacrificial love and our joy. My third is this, and this again just reveals how Catholic Mother Teresa is, and it just makes so much sense to me, and I love it. I don't know if you know this, from her inspiration, it took more than a year for Mother Teresa to receive permission. And one of the things that comes through when you read her letters is she was persistent, and she wrote a ton of letters to the Archbishop. She didn't hold back words, and she was like, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. Like, let's not hold back, let's do this. But this is what she says ultimately. She leaves it with this: I leave the whole thing in your hands. Whatever you wish, that I shall do most happily. And this is what being a daughter of God looks like. This is what being a daughter of the church looks like. This is what authentic discernment looks like. And it might frustrate a lot of people out there. The inspiration was so profound, and it was sort of this locution. It was like this big, intense spiritual experience where she felt called to begin the missionaries of charity. And so she didn't neglect that or water that down. Nonetheless, confident in God and confident in God working through pastors with the rightful authority, her superiors and her bishop, Mother Teresa received it, but she received it with these open hands, with these Catholic hands, with these hands of a daughter, these hands of trust, and said, like, this is what I want to do. This is what I feel called to. And I'm convicted of it in the deepest fiber of my being. But your will be done. Your will be done, God, and your will be done through these rightful human superiors, right? And so she waited, and she was patient, and she was obedient. Ultimately, like, they said yes, they discerned yes. She was given permission, and if you will, like, through her waiting and through her trust, I like to think of like the water of the reservoir behind the dam, like, was filled up by her waiting and her trust and her confidence, and then, you know, through the bishop, the keys were entered and they were opened, and this love could pour out, and this grace could pour out on the whole world. But she waited until she was given proper permission, and I think this is just, it's a good reminder. It's a good reminder for me, and it's just so Catholic. And so this is Mother Teresa. So Mother Teresa, please, I thank you for your ways in which you've impacted my life. Please pray for all of us and help us to become saints as well. All right, everybody, thank you for watching. Good to be with you again, and look forward to being with you again next week. Remember, we are pilgrims on this earth. Somos peregrinos, poco a poco, little by little. Vamos a llegar. We're going to make it. Peace, y'all.